What was your first girl like, I say. I was pretty young, says Billy. The right side of his t-shirt is hanging off his shoulder. His earring flashes in the light. How old were you? 13, 14? Something like that, yeah. He brushes the crumbs off the table with his black glove. What was she like? I can't remember that much. He wipes his lips with his napkin. Oh, now... Well, you sort of have crushes on girls, he smiles. It is like watching milk slosh around in a pail. His skin is white, his lips are creamy and dense, his shoulders are large. It's the crush you remember more than the girl. What did she look like? He shrugs. Was she real cute, I ask. I used to kiss her behind the gym at school. Hey, if you're a fan of Billy Idol, I think you're going to enjoy what we have for you here today. You know, one of the things we do on this channel is we go back and we dig through old newspapers and we find concert reviews, record reviews, and every once in a while we find something really kind of interesting that's kind of almost like a day in the life kind of thing. And that's what this is. And the article is called A Brief Encounter with Billy Idol, and it's written by E. Jean Carroll. And this comes from the Leader Post, January 26, 1985. So this is the time when he's still on Rebel Yell is the album. And he was huge. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but though he was the MTV darling. Now, I saw him a few years later on, it would have been the Whiplash Smile Tour. And he had the Cult opening up for him. And I got to tell you something, I liked Billy Idol, but after seeing him in concert, I loved Billy Idol. It was one of the funnest, coolest concerts I had ever been to at that point in my life. The Cult opened up for him, and they were spectacular, but I loved Billy Idol. So anyway, I think you're really going to enjoy this little article, which I'm going to share with you. Before we do, I want to say thank you to Digitech for their ongoing support of our channel. Go to digitech.com if you're a guitar player. Check out all their latest gear and technology. They always have awesome stuff. Digitech.com. Okay, before I read this article to you, I want to share something with you that I think you're going to find really interesting. And it's back on the first page, and this will kind of put the whole thing in context from a time standpoint. Right here, Dukes canceled. The Dukes of Hazzard, CBS long-running TV car chase, has run out of road and will be replaced by a new lighthearted detective series starring Judd Hirsch, the network announced Friday. CBS said The Dukes of Hazzard, starring Tom Wopat and John Schneider, will have its final broadcast on February 8th. The series, which was about a hard-driving, fun-loving clan of good old boys, began in January of 1979. So anyway, I'm just actually curious, do you remember that show, The Dukes of Hazzard? I think it was on Friday nights. And me and my sisters, every Friday, we had to be there in front of the TV to watch The Dukes of Hazzard because we just loved it. It was such a fun show. And I think Dallas was on right afterwards. But anyway, I just, when I saw that here, I thought that kind of, again, puts this whole thing in kind of context. If you remember that time when Dukes of Hazzard was taken off of the air, that's the time Billy Idol was really, really coming into prominence. Anyway, just to kind of put that in context. All right, so, and stick around after I finish this article because I'm going to share with you a couple of other really cool things about the movies that were in the theater at the time. Billy Idol, born William Broad in Stanmore, England, November 30th, 1955. Raised in Britain and America, rock star, Dancing with Myself, White Wedding, Rebel Yell, etc. Video star and soon-to-be movie star. Is not the sort of guy who dates. Billy is not a conventional individual, says Brendan Bork of the William Aucoin management offices in New York. By the way, when it says William Aucoin, this is Bill Aucoin, the management company that worked with Kiss, by the way, just in case you hadn't made that connection. They're going to talk about it more in a minute, but that's what they're saying here. Okay, so now here's the person writing the article. Well, what should I wear? I ask. Well, I'm sure you know how to make yourself look decent, he says. Quote, what does decent mean? I ask. Brendan thinks it over a minute. Well, I mean, if you're going out on a date, he says, the idea is to look attractive. I do not tell him I have on my most attractive outfit because I am afraid of reprisals. Brendan says Billy and I should go somewhere, quote, fun. Here's Billy Idol's living room. Elvis pictures, plastic bags, 2 couches covered in black polyester, ski parka material, black curtains, suitcases, guitars, guitar cases, record jackets, books and tapes, Reynolds wrap on the TV antennas, a tape machine going, the recent issue of Rolling Stone with his picture on page 25 on the floor, an Elvis fanzine on the floor, aluminum cans, stuffed animals from female fans, a phone, a Bob Marley. Isn't this interesting? This is all the stuff that they find in Billy Idol's apartment. A Bob Marley book, clothes, ballpoints, boots. Quote, "Sit down," says Billy, hurrying in from the kitchen with his 2 cans of 7-Up. He throws some stuff off the couch onto the floor. "What an apartment," I shout over the music. "It's pretty nice, really," says Billy. He shows me his Elvis pictures right away and his purple sunburst guitar. "Magenta," I shout like a dork. I am excited too, beside myself. "Do you smoke or anything?" "Oh yes, I smoke like crazy." "Good," he says. We sit down on the floor. It is 10 minutes after 10 in the evening. I take out a package of Marlboros. "Great," says Billy. He throws a Vanity Fair off the ashtray. "Now," I say, "do you see what I'm wearing tonight, Billy?" I unzip my jacket. I have on my cheerleader sweater from college. I went to Indiana, I for Idol. "Great," says Billy, smiling. Billy's needs are simple, like the TV working, guitars, books. He doesn't need perfection. When he recorded Eyes Without a Face, it was practically the first time he ever sang it. As long as it's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, just so it's right for Billy. And Billy can be content as long as it excites him. Says that's all. Says he just wants to play stupid rock and roll. Says he just wants to play it with a little rhythm and blues. Says it's so easy, music, but it's so difficult being a human being. By the way, Eyes Without a Face. I love that song. Rebel Yell has some incredible tunes on it, and the production is incredible. Here's Billy's outfit. "Ah, it's just the old punk bondage stuff flashed up a bit," says Billy, putting on the jacket. "Nah, it's a green, blue, and chartreuse bomber with flaps, pockets, snaps, gussets, cuffs, lapels, shoulder pads, straps, bands, buckles. Matching pants bagging out, zippers down the backs of the thighs." You can, by the way, as they describe that, can you not just picture that? I mean, this is back in the middle of the 1980s. You can totally picture what they're describing here. Hey, we want to hear from you. And what I mean by that is we really, really want to hear from you. Down in the first comment below and in the show notes, there is a link where you can literally go sign up for 15 minutes to actually give me a call. And what I want to hear from you is, number one, I want to hear the 3 videos that we have made that you liked the most. Number 2, I want to hear the topics that you want us to do or that you enjoy the most. We'll have a quick meeting, go through those, and then anything else you want to chat about. We got 15 minutes. There's a link down below. So sign up for one of those slots, and we're looking forward to talking to you. One cerise stocking up to his knee. One U-green stocking, black motorcycle boots with anklets and spike clips. A black torn t-shirt, a rosary around his neck, 2 crucifixes, 4 crosses, 2 silver, 1 jade, 1 with a ruby, a St. Christopher's, a gold cross in his right ear, a black cross in his left ear, shades, his black leather glove, and his Reaper of Death ring. He puts on his red beret. I clasp my hands and sink down on the sofa and shout, "Oh, Billy!" He chuckles. "I am very definitely all there," he says. His Irish grandmother plays 14 musical instruments, and his grandfather plays a couple. And when Billy is 10, his granddad takes him to a Woolworths in London and buys him a guitar. Billy gets a book and finds a few chords, listens to Iggy and the Stooges, Lou Reed, The Doors, The Velvet Underground, The New York Dolls, starts writing his own songs. At 20, he's hanging out at Malcolm McLaren's sex clothes shop on Kings Road. That's where The Clash, the Sex Pistols, Susie Sue, and the Banshees are. Puts an advert in Melody Maker. "I want to form a group." Tony James, the bass guitarist, answers it. August 1976, they form Chelsea. 2 months later, Billy is painting Russian constructionist squares on his t-shirts, and Chelsea breaks up. And he and Tony start Generation X. Punk rock is happening. The Clash is doing their new song and wearing their new stuff. Generation X is doing their new song and wearing their new stuff. Everybody's making a statement. Everybody getting banned. August 1977, Chrysalis puts out Generation X, the band's first album. By 1980, Valley of the Dolls and Kiss Me Deadly have come out, and Generation X has 7 hit singles in England. And by the way, I'd really like to know, do you remember them? Because see, I was too young at that time to be paying attention to anything that was going on, but Generation X actually was a thing. You know, they did pretty well. And then they'll talk about it here in a second, but then he leaves, you know, and then he goes to New York and all the rest of that is history. But they were big enough that I'm sure a lot of you would have even known who they were. So I'm curious if you did at the time know who Generation X was. I of course didn't hear of Generation X until after I'd heard of Billy Idol many years later. But things are getting dull. Punk is played on the radio. Tony and Billy aren't writing so many songs together. There is a legal hassle with Generation X's manager over money. They stop recording, stop going on the road. It's not the old free, exciting times. Billy is bored, has to do something radical. So it seems like a great idea to go to America and start all over again. New York. Billy has maybe $1,000, less than $1,000. Bill Aucoin, his new manager and the manager of Kiss, gets Chrysalis to fund him. $200 a week. Billy says, great. It's March 1981. He's living in the Village. One night he's uptown at Hurrah, a dance club. The bar is packed. The dance floor is empty. Suddenly, Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself comes on. Everybody rushes to the dance floor. Bill thinks, fantastic. Thinks, here's the place for me. The mini LP, Don't Stop, is released. Did I get that right? Yeah. Is released. American radio stations won't play it. Billy says because he has spiky hair, but it gets stupendous dance club action. And by the way, I have a copy of Don't Stop. And Dancing with Myself was, how many of you remember that when you'd go to school dances at the time? That was just everywhere. That was one of those songs that was always played. And the other thing that's on there is Moni Moni, which was another kind of huge song whenever you'd go to dances, at least back in the 80s, both Billy Idol. Although Moni Moni wasn't his song, it was a cover, but still it was his recording of it that we'd play everywhere. Aucoin introduces him to Steve Stevens, an American guitarist. They form a group, begin collaborating on songs. May 1982, Billy Idol comes out. In 1983, Rebel Yell. But Billy doesn't need to be a big head. Says, what the hell for? Says it'd be boring, it'd be awful. Says that's why he picked the name Billy Idol. Says he doesn't want to overshadow anyone, especially people he loves, because it would destroy Billy as much as them. It would finish any relationship he had because all they could talk about then was how much Billy screwed them up. You know, for those of us that love this classic media, I think most of us remember these things, audio and videotapes. And I recently realized that a lot of the viewers of this channel don't realize that behind this channel, there's a company called the Audio Mover Digitizing Studio. And for 25 years, we've been digitizing old media like this for individuals and organizations across the United States and Canada. So if you have any old audio or videotapes you need preserved, we can help. And for anybody watching this video today, we're offering a 15% discount on any Audio Mover digitizing service. Just use the discount code on the screen. So visit audiomover.com today to learn more and get an order started. Here's an interesting subject: love. I really enjoy how this article is written. I think this is so much fun. Billy is shy, but says his idea of a girl to love is a great, sexy one who knows things. What was your first girl like, I say. I was pretty young, says Billy. The right side of his t-shirt is hanging off his shoulder. His earring flashes in the light. How old were you? 13, 14? Something like that, yeah. He brushes the crumbs off the table with his black glove. What was she like? I can't remember that much. He wipes his lips with his napkin. Oh, now... Well, you sort of have crushes on girls, he smiles. It is like watching milk slosh around in a pail. His skin is white, his lips are creamy and dense, his shoulders are large. It's the crush you remember more than the girl. What did she look like? He shrugs. Was she real cute, I ask. He picks up his spoon and bounces it on the table. By the way, this is so... Can you kind of picture these two in this room? This woman that's interviewing him, E. Jean Carroll, who's clearly, I'm sure she has some sort of a crush on this guy because he's a rock star. You know, they're sitting there talking and then asking him these questions. This is just so much fun listening to this. He picks up his spoon and bounces it on the table. I used to kiss her behind the gym at school. You did? Behind the library, that was it. Used to go behind the library. So how long were you in love with this girl? Don't know, 3 weeks or something. Oh, well, really? Weeks? When you're young, it's fleeting, says Billy, but it seems like years. Do you remember her name? I resist the urge to rush through the early girls to get to his women. No, I don't really. He pushes back his plate. Oh, come, I say. No, I don't know. He leans back. He has had the eggplant parmesan and an order of spumoni and is finished. No, I say. You don't remember? I couldn't tell you, no. He lays his hand flat on the table and spreads his fingers. Silence. No? He looks back at me. The light glances off his shoulder. The pale skin around his mouth turns reddish. Haven't got a clue, he says. You don't want to talk about the girls you've liked, I say. The flush rises up from his mouth to his sunglasses. His crucifixes quaver. It is more than I can bear. Okay, I say, we won't. I just don't want to be silly about it, he says. You won't see a quickie album put out just to catch the fans. Chrysalis is on his back, of course. Rebel Yell is almost double platinum. But Billy works by his own rules. He writes a song. If it's worth recording, he'll record it. He won't do it otherwise. Won't do other people's songs because they tell him. Won't do his own songs because they tell him. Billy likes control. Has to have control. Says if he can't control what he's doing, he'll get what he wants back out of it. What he wants back out of it, at least somewhere knowing he is not an idiot. Still, people worry about Billy Idol. His videos are morbid, but Billy Idol says there are things in this world more morbid than this Billy Idol thing. Billy Idol is a silly pop singer. Why people are bothered by Billy Idol, he doesn't know. Really doesn't. Because it's very simple to sing songs. Very hard to destroy the world. And be ugly and filthy and rotten to people. Of course, he's seen some terrible things. England, Ireland. His Irish Catholic mother standing in the middle of the room saying to his English father how much she hates the British. Billy is British and knows exactly what she is saying. And then living with his mom and dad and sister in Long Island when he was a kid and moving back to England. Then he was a Yank. And the press saying he was pop punk. And the National Coalition on television violence saying he was a threat. And rumors saying he was on drugs. Billy says if he were on drugs, he wouldn't bother doing music. He wouldn't bother going on the road for 9.5 months. He can be wild and crazy without drugs. He doesn't need anything to make Billy Idol what he is. Billy is going through a bookshop in Kensington, finds this book by the guy who did Rock Dreams and Rock from the Beginning and who wrote the story Saturday Night Fever was based on. Billy sees the title King Death, goes, ooh, what's this? Opens it, sees it's dedicated to the Presley twins, Elvis and Jesse. Goes, and takes it home. When they ask him what film he wants to do, Billy says, King Death by Nick Cohn. It's the book for Billy. It's about turning a killer into a celluloid god, but says he won't do it unless it's perfect. They can't do anything to him now. He's got his own people involved because he won't do it unless Nick thinks it's right. And if Nick feels it ain't right, then Billy won't do it. Because there's nothing pure in this world, nothing sure. And you got to look for something left inside yourself. That's what Billy's saying. Start again. Don't worry that you made mistakes. It's what you do that counts. Yeah, right. Anyway, and that was taken actually from Rolling Stone magazine, but they had printed it in this newspaper there. But oh my gosh, start again. Hearing that at the end. It's such a, I like I said, I actually really love Billy Idol. He had so many great tunes. The production quality was so great in his music. And I really, really liked him. Okay, now I'm going to show you one other thing now that we've finished with that article. And this is always interesting to go look at what movies were in the theater at the time in these newspapers. And check this out. So Harrison Ford is John Book. Do you remember the movie Witness? I had forgotten that movie even existed until I saw this thing here. I loved that show. I seem to remember really, really loving that movie. I barely remember what it was about. It was some sort of going and living with the Amish or something. I can't remember exactly, but I remember that it was a great movie. And then down here, let's see here, we've got film. Oh yeah, there we go. Runaway. Tom Selleck, Runaway. And who was in Runaway? Gene Simmons. That's right. Anyway, that's pretty funny. Someone must stop the madman who has programmed machines to turn against us. And that madman was, of course, Had to be Gene Simmons. I'm sure I barely remember the movie. I just know that was the movie that he was in that he's kind of famous for. Here's another movie, The Party Animal. I don't remember anything about this. Oh, it looks like that's an X-rated movie. And then we have Breakin' 2. Not just Breakin'. Do you remember breakdance? Did you try breakdancing? I had a friend that I played music with. It was a drummer that kind of out of nowhere decided he wanted to be a breakdancer. I remember going over to his house one day and he'd taken a bunch of boxes and put this cardboard all over the ground, and he just started breakdancing, like spinning around on his back and doing all this I don't know, kind of interesting. Did you breakdance? How many of you did this? And then here we have, they hadn't milked the Superman franchise enough, so then they put out Supergirl. Because what did they have? They had 3 or 4 Supermans with Christopher Reeve, and I think, by the last one, it was so ridiculous. And then here we are, now we have Supergirl. I don't know if this was any good. It probably wasn't, because I don't think the other Supermen, I don't think those were any good. There's a Nitty Gritty Dirt Band playing right there. Anyway, that's kind of cool, like I said, to see some of these, what was going on in the theater at the time. Kind of, again, it puts it in context of when we're talking about, if you remember the time that Billy Idol was popular and you're listening to things like Rebel Yell and experiencing that, this is what was also going on. These were the movies that were out. So again, timestamp. Hey, follow the channel if you're not following the channel. Like the video, share it with other people. We'd love to get your comments down below. And with that, have yourself a fantastic day.